The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
This is episode 9C of the Finding Florida podcast on the Florida Podcast Network, Americana in our state's capital, part 2.
And we hope you're ready for an adventure.
Welcome to Finding Florida, the podcast that takes you from country to the coast. Join your tour guides, an unlikely pair, city girl Jemmy and country boy Glenn, as they explore the amazing sights and sounds of the Sunshine State.
In the last episode, 9B, we gave you the first half of our adventure in Tallahassee, exploring Americana in our state's capital. If you missed it, go back and take a listen and catch me doing my first ever zip line. It was crazy.
A lot more screaming from Jemmy. In this episode, we bring you the rest of our adventure in Tallahassee, including Jemmy's first ride on a Segway.
No screaming, no more screaming.
And we meet some of the coolest and most eclectic people you're ever going to find in one place at
God.
Railroad Square Art Park.
From your
and
lips
of course,
to God's ears. It is so true.
Yes, it is true. It was so much fun there. And of course, we end our Tallahassee adventure at one of the most popular breweries in Tallahassee, the Proof Brewing Company.
Let's get started with Glenn's highlight, which was getting me on my first Segway.
Say hello to the Segway HT, an evolution in personal transportation. So get ready to change the way you think about travel.
So now we're going to do something that I am so excited to have Jemmy do for the first time, because she's never done this for the first time either. A lot of firsts.
A lot of firsts. I'm a little nervous about this one, but super excited.
She wasn't nervous to be 60 feet in the air climbing a ladder.
Oh, no, I was very nervous. And the fact that I didn't take a bathroom break before that is another miracle, but I'm good. I'm good for now. We're getting ready to do something super fun. I'm very excited.
We're with Tallahassee Segway Tours, and we have Brennan, right?
Yes.
With us. She's our guide today. Guides are very important with Segway Tours, by the way. If you've never taken one before, you rely on your guide to not get you killed. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. You know which Segway is the lead Segway because it has the first aid kit strapped to it.
That's right. Not that you'll be needing that today, Jemmy.
You know what? I've heard that cliffs and Segways don't mix, so I'm glad that my first Segway tour is in Florida. I don't see any cliffs anywhere.
No cliffs, just hills.
We do have hills in Tallahassee, so that's going up and down hills is interesting on a Segway.
Yeah.
So what's people's reaction the first time they come for a Segway tour? What do you get? A little bit of everything, I'm sure.
Get a lot of, oh, I could never ride one of those. That looks scary, or I'm going to fall over, or things like that. But I mean, really, it takes a couple moments to get used to the feel of it because it's different than anything else. But after some practice, and especially here at the Segway office, we make sure that you're confident before you ever go out.
Are there any people who are overly confident, like super wild people who just want to go fast and go
College
crazy,
football players who think they got this.
How do you rein them in?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's something that happens. Like people, especially if they're learning Segways for the first time, they train here with us and they get really good and they're out on the tour and they get really confident and then they get a little overconfident. And so you don't want to be too scared on the road or too brave, I guess, on the road. Yeah, just like being in a car, I guess.
What's the craziest thing that's happened to you on a tour here in Tallahassee? There's got to be some crazy things that have happened.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the craziest things that happen, especially going around the university, a lot of students, especially during our night tours, students have been drinking and they see the Segways and it's like the craziest, most fun thing they've ever seen and they just like start screaming at us. One time we were going down what we call Sorority Row and there was a frat house with a couple of guys hanging out on the balcony. And if you've ever seen The Goonies, there's a guy who did the truffle shuffle. Yeah, they did the truffle shuffle for a tour. That was on our tour.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
Are we doing sorority row? I'm just curious.
Yeah, definitely.
He's only interested in the sorority row.
Well, it's summer now, so a lot of it's under construction.
Right. Oh,
you'll get maybe
darn.
a little bit. But...
Darn. No, well, let's talk again after we scare the crap out of Jemmy today.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So why we train here beforehand. Make sure that you're comfortable. And
So both feet
before
on.
you go out.
Lean forward to go forward. Lean back to stop. Just
Sit up
use your handlebars to turn right and left.
Yes, like a joystick though. You want to push it left
Push
and
it
right.
left and right.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's you. That's your power. That's okay. That's okay. I won't let you hit me or the other Segways.
So what's the joystick action? Is it
Push the handles left and right.
Oh, like this. Okay, because I was trying to twist it and it wasn't
So
working.
just follow me.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, no twisting. The handles don't actually have any buttons underneath.
Too fast.
It's okay.
Shut up, you. Hey.
It's okay. This way?
Yay, I'm doing it.
Yep. Push it harder.
No.
Turn left, and the first rule of the Segway, actually the second rule of the Segway, is to watch out for the storm drains and the gutters. They will kind of pull you in.
Oh,
So you want to kind of over-collect yourself a little bit, just to stay safe. So the Segways is don't hit anything. A lot of the buildings here at FSU are based off of the Oxford University buildings in England. So it's called Gothic Collegiate style. And because of that, another famous cultural icon that had a lot of the buildings inspired by Oxford University was Harry Potter. So people will go inside the dining hall and go, oh my gosh, this is like Hogwarts. Because of that.
Gotcha.
Integration statue. So I mean, definitely Tallahassee is part of the Old South, just because of how north we are.
Yeah.
In Florida. So this would be marking the students that were first integrated into FSU. So we have our homecoming princess. She's a Seminole princess, not a homecoming queen. So the first African-American homecoming princess, the first African-American student to receive a bachelor's degree, and on the other side, the first African-American student to wear an FSU uniform. And this is like right in the center of campus too. Just real quick, the church over to the left is the First Presbyterian Church of Tallahassee. It is the oldest building in the state of Florida to still be operating with its original purpose. So it was built in the 1830s as the First Presbyterian Church in Tallahassee, and I mean, if you really wanted to, tomorrow morning they're having services on Sunday morning.
Was it that big when they built it?
They probably did some addition to it, but it was big beforehand. Like I said, Tallahassee is definitely the deep south. You can go in; they have slave galleries at the top.
Wow.
So they would have slaves and the white landowners worship together, but they couldn't sit in the same place.
Right.
So they had the slaves sit in the top gallery, and that's still there. You can go in and see it.
That's amazing that you even let them in this room.
I know, right?
So, do you know the significance of the Florida State Supreme Court?
That it is the highest court in Florida.
It is.
And it's the one that determined the election in... No, I'm just kidding.
You're not wrong.
Oh!
Yep, in fall 2000, during the Bush versus Gore election, this was the site of the Florida recount.
All determined right here at the Florida Supreme Court building.
And I'm from Palm Beach County, so we're kind of the reason why.
It's not your fault. The ballots were really poorly
In
designed.
my defense, I was living in New Orleans at the time, so I wasn't part of the voting in Florida at that time.
But all along this front street here and in front of the Capitol, you had news crew and media all parked out here on an international stage. They had their cameras and doing the news coverage right here. And that was actually that weekend. There was a Florida State home game. And, well, when you're, for the big Seminole football games, everyone books their hotel rooms like a year in advance. So during that weekend, when all the presidential stuff was going down, all the news crew and media had to vacate their hotel rooms for like 2 days while they had the home game going
To honor
on.
the previous bookings.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So they were pushed out.
Can you
and sometimes
imagine?
like even up to like 100 miles outside of town.
Man.
Just, yeah, like, this is Tallahassee. Football sometimes comes first.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Brennan, we just had the time of our lives. That was so much fun. I'm so glad I took ballet, jazz, tap, and acrobatics when I was little. I think 30 years later, those balance lessons have come in handy, but the Segway is so much fun.
Oh, I think so too. Like for your first time, that was fantastic.
It was so much fun. We had a good time.
Well, no one crashed, and I mean, you both came back with as many pieces as you went out with, so I'd call that a success.
Jemmy, I pick on you all the time about everything.
I mean, a lot.
But you did, this was great for your first time. You didn't really mess up at all. It was great.
I am the Segway Queen. I think that's my official title out of Tallahassee. I'm now the Segway Queen. Oh, it was so much fun. I think anybody who is interested in seeing a town, that's what kind of really jumped out at me. Because we have obviously been all over this place the last couple of days, but to see it this way, to see so much, it kind of gives you a really good sense of lay of land. And I kept thinking, for anybody who's moving here or moving to any town, if there's a Segway tour, they need to go see it.
Absolutely. It's the best way to go around town pretty quickly, faster than you would on foot, but you also get to go around all of the nooks and crannies that you can't go on.
Yeah, we were in
a car.
alleyways and down sidewalks, and we were right in the middle of Florida State University, and that's beautiful, by the way. You've been to a lot of campuses. That one's beautiful.
It was really, really nice.
Yeah.
And so you get to see, because we got to see a lot of the big stuff, right, and the museums and everything else, and this got you to see those little, like you're saying, nooks and crannies, those little things that we are, no pun intended, trying to find in Florida.
And if you want to go to our Facebook page at Finding Florida Podcast, you'll see us racing, Jemmy and I racing.
Well, racing in quotes, because I don't think legally we were allowed to quote-unquote race, but we definitely had the time of life, and I think officially I won, but whatever, we could roll tape on that one.
And we got to see, well, we are in Tallahassee, so I think we should end with, we got to see the Capitol.
No. We saw the Capitol when we got into our hotel. We just couldn't figure out which one it was. So Brennan actually pointed out which one was the Capitol.
You got to see both Capitols.
The old Capitol and the new Capitol.
Yep, and the historic Capitol is a museum you can go into.
So wherever you're going, I don't care where, Florida, Tallahassee, wherever you go, look for the Segway tour. I know a lot of you might be thinking, it's a little on the expensive side, because that's what I've heard from people. It is worth every minute, and they take you out for a very long time. So Tallahassee Segway tours, if you're coming to the state's capital, definitely do it. It is worth the money, and you'll figure it out in about 2 seconds. If Jemmy did it, you can do it too.
That sounds like a backhanded compliment, but I'll take it.
What's the, is TallahasseeSegwayTours.com?
Yes.
TallahasseeSegwayTours.com.
We're on Facebook as well as Tallahassee Segway Tours.
You were great. Thank you.
Request Brennan.
Thank you.
Well, now we are driving a very short distance because it seems like every place we go in Tallahassee is a very short distance.
No, we keep looking. We need to plan ahead, look at the GPS,
it's
see
like
when we
7
can plan.
minutes.
It's like, oh, all right. It's
5 minutes.
3 minutes.
I think it's one of the things I'm starting to like about this town is it feels like you can get anywhere quickly.
I know.
Unlike when we went to Fort Lauderdale, it seemed like it took forever to get anywhere.
So where are we going?
We are going to Railroad Square Art Park, which is a bohemian community of artists. And from the pictures I saw, it's all of the bright colored buildings, just like you would picture in an art park.
Let me tell you. So before we go on these adventures,
I like you, by the way.
I like to look at, find out and dive deep into the background and look at what we're going to do and all that stuff. I saw the picture. All I needed to see was a picture of the Railroad Square Art Park, and I shut everything down. I'm like, you know what? I want to know nothing more because this looks amazing, and I just want to walk in and experience it. So I'm so excited. It's so full of color, and I can imagine there's some characters there too. I'm excited.
And Rachel is still with us, joining us for this adventure. And from what I hear, we're meeting with
Lillian.
She's like the director of the art park, and she's going to take us around.
I think we're going to hop in a golf cart.
Oh, good.
You know what? That's something we didn't do for the Wheels of Daytona Beach. We didn't do a golf cart. So now we get to do a golf cart.
I kind of broke my ribs before we got to that part. Railroad Square Art Park, right in Tallahassee.
Woohoo!
Consisting of over 70 studios, galleries, shops, and local businesses, Railroad Square Art Park is the arts and culture district of Florida's capital city, Tallahassee. This privately owned 10-acre creative haven is located in the city's rapidly developing urban core, nestled between downtown and two major universities. Railroad Square's diversity ensures that there's something for everyone and for all ages. You can spend the day relaxing, touring art studios and galleries, browsing vintage shops, dining at a cafe created from a real railroad caboose, or enjoying a microbrew on the outdoor patio of the city's largest brewery.
Well, we just had the most amazing afternoon at Railroad Square Art Park, which reminds me so much of some of the artist communities in New England that we used to go to at the shore. At the beach towns have these artist communities, and the colors, it looks like you're at the beach, actually. But this is a huge place, and we are with Lillian. You're the kind of the boss here, right?
Yeah, I'm kinda, yeah.
So you took us around, and we only saw a tiny bit of what everybody can experience here. And you're going to hear some of that sound here shortly. But tell us about the park.
So the park is privately owned, and it started back in World War II as a McDonald lumberyard. And it was bought by the Boynton family, Bill Boynton, in the 1960s. And he turned that into the downtown industrial park. His family now has owned it. We're into our third generation. His daughter, Nan Boynton, started taking over the downtown industrial park, the property of which were 10 acres. And she had this vision, she was well-traveled, this vision of turning this into an artist enclave that you saw today. So she started moving out the manufacturing tenants and moving in the artists. Back then, artists could live and work in their same space, in their studio. So she started turning that in. It took her a number of years. She died very suddenly of a brain aneurysm in 2002. And her children, Dr. Lily Kay, Boynton Kay, and her brother Adam Boynton Kay, now own the property, and they run it. They're both very actively involved, but unfortunately don't live in the state of Florida anymore. So that's why I'm here. I'm their ears and eyes and the pilot trying to fly the plane. So.
Well, what I like about this place is we have, you see artist villages here and there. There's a nice one in West Palm by me, which, by the way, side note, I'm going to have to do my research and find out if the same Boyntons involved here are the same Boyntons involved where I'm from, Boynton Beach. But what I found super interesting, like I said, I came here with completely clean slate. I wanted to see this place with fresh eyes. And it's not only artists and what you would think sculptors and painters, and they certainly have that here. But it's really full of just creativity of every kind. The crumb box, creativity in so many different ways. And there's the pinball place. So what I loved about your tour and appreciated so much about it is, like Glenn said, we got a tiny little taste, but you gave us so many different little things to look at. And I loved all of them.
We pride ourselves in saying, if there's anything you're interested in, you will probably find it at Railroad Square.
I like its proximity to town. You guys are right in town, basically.
Yes, we're downtown.
You're in downtown, but when you're here, it seems like I'm 40 miles away from town.
Yes. Isn't that neat? Yeah. And we're preserving that. That's really our brand. We're eclectic. We're bohemian. We're
That's
creative.
That's exactly the word I was going to say, bohemian. Yes.
That has been our brand for so long. We love that. Don't we need a place in our world, in our lives right now, that is safe, where you can follow your passions? We like to say we make dreams happen. And it doesn't get any better than that. I work in a place where I can help people follow their dreams and make dreams happen. And so that's it in a nutshell. That's who we are at Railroad Square.
And what's the name of this particular?
It's Julie Guyot Studio.
Julie Guyot
So julieguyotstudio.com. I sell also directly from my website. I make handmade pottery, but I also sell the work of several other artisans in the shop, not online, but in the shop. And my work is a little bit different. Most people are familiar with throwing on the wheel. You all did some hand building earlier today at Lemoyne.
Well, we tried.
What I do is all hand building. So I don't even own a potter's wheel. I work with a slab roller. I roll out flat slabs of clay and work from there, either pinching or joining. And I make all functional work. So all pieces that you can use in your home, serving pieces.
What is the advantage of being in a place like Railroad Square, really an art community? What is the advantage of being here as opposed to being on your own? Is there?
I think that when people come to an arts community, they already know what they're getting. So, for example, when I was in another location, I was near like an import store where somebody was selling a $12 mug. My mugs are $35 to $42. Here at the art park, they already know when they walk in that my work is handmade. There's no question about it. Sometimes people will ask, but when I say yes, of course they're on board with that. So it's not such a hard sell because they're already in, because they're here.
Right.
They already are interested in handmade, or at least the arts, when they arrive here. So they're already partially educated, and it's not such a hard job to educate people.
Do you find most people who come through here are looking for a specific place like yours, or just kind of want to wander and explore?
I think it's a mix. For example, I just saw my first person today braving the heat who was looking for something specific from me because I didn't recognize her, but she'd obviously been in before. So I think I personally get a healthy dose of both.
And you can find Julie at julieguyatstudio.com.
My name is Mark Dixon. I own Dixon Studios, LLC.
Okay. So, Mark, I have a question for you. Did you ever, in your wildest dreams, think that you would be standing here in this art community in Tallahassee doing art of your choice when you were 20?
No. I actually came to...
Do you remember 20?
I do remember 20. I do remember 20.
I kind of don't, so that's why.
I did a lot of different things. I was in theater, I was in musical theater, prop design, things like that. So I came to metal, the sculptural metal, in my late 20s. That's when I discovered it. I'm from California, was living there, took some classes, and that was the beginning of the rest of my life. So when we moved here, I just took jobs in ornamental iron and sheet metal fabrication, and I was going to school at Florida State. I took a study with Charles Hook for a couple semesters there when he was the professor of sculpture at the time. And then I did my work on the side. So I worked 2 jobs, school, and did this, just in a small way, wherever I could. And then just developed this. I just pretty much, it was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'll do whatever I have to do so I can do this.
That's what passion comes from.
You lived in the car for a while, right?
I mean, that's what passion
I mean, that's pretty much it. I'll do it, and that's still kind of how it is. I'll do whatever I have to do so I can do this.
An artist like Mark, his work goes for thousands of dollars, so not everybody can own a Dixon.
So I won't put anything from him on the list.
I'm sorry.
No, we're going through just creating a shopping list for me.
You can.
You can,
because what he did was he takes some of his scrap and he makes these cool,
very
affordable
cool.
fish.
Yeah.
That I've got 2 Dixons in fish form over there, so that again students can afford to own one. So
we have the first Friday every month where everything stays open late all over town, and so people come in, and not everybody's going to buy like a $2,000 or $1,800 vessel or a $900 bird or a big piece that's like that, but 45, 50, up to 100, 125. They can afford to have something to take away. And that's kind of very Florida. And people can also relate to, somebody may not be able to relate to, say, an abstract piece like that.
I love that.
But they can relate to fit. They get it.
Or the bells.
Or bells, So it's a way for me to allow people. I just want people to have original fine art in their collections. The more people collect, the more they collect. I mean, that's important to me. I do this.
Where do they find you on the web?
MarkDixonStudios.com.
MarkDixonStudios.com.
www.MarkDixonStudios.com.
Very important.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let's say art's not your thing, rock climbing is not your thing. We are surrounded by beautiful forests and rivers. So obviously here in Tallahassee.
We have over 600 miles of trails in 7 different main rivers and 20 lakes. So people like to get out on the water, whether that be kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, swimming, things like that. We're actually not too far from Wakulla Springs, which is the world's deepest and largest freshwater spring
in the
entire world.
A large population of manatees, so what better than to come to Railroad Square and get Harry Smith to take you on an adventure, even rent the kayak to you. We're going to go visit him right now.
All right.
So we are at Harry Smith Outdoors. Here we find one of the big outdoor guys.
Yes.
And you don't think about Tallahassee and outdoors, but there's a ton of outdoors.
Absolutely. So here at Harry Smith Outdoors, we specialize in kayak tours, whether that be eco tours or fishing trips. We kind of do it all from sales to, trip planning, the whole nine. We got you covered. My passion lies in getting people out of the water, and Tallahassee is a super cool hub to access all types of amazing river systems. We have spring-fed rivers, we have blackwater rivers, cypress swamps, coastal areas, you name it, we have it, I guarantee it. And getting people out there and seeing all this stuff is really magical.
Now, I've been kayaking, and I'm a little clumsy. Okay, so the thought of fishing off a kayak concerns me.
Now, it's a different beast, I promise you. I get a lot of people that's either kayakers, seasoned kayakers that want to try fishing, or fishermen that want to try fishing from a kayak. And there's a learning curve. There absolutely is. But once you get
So I will get wet, is what you're saying. Yes, that's a yes.
He's going to try to catch the fish, but you'll end up having to catch him. I'm telling you right now.
You know what? Kayaking is a water sport. You're going to get wet.
Get over it. You're getting wet.
Trip off the paddle, or you take the plunge.
What are you fishing for here? You're in an interlake freshwater system, right?
Oh, absolutely not. That's the beauty of it. So we have trophy largemouth bass, Lake Jackson, Lake Talquin, the lower Wasissa rivers, Swanee bass and largemouth, and we had a whole plethora of coastal areas, marsh to explore, literally less than 40 minutes from downtown Tallahassee.
You're in the Gulf area.
You can be in the Gulf, catching redfish, trout, flounder, all that good stuff. And that's my...
What's your most requested tour?
It's got to be the Wasissa River. I mean, beautiful, spring-fed, crystal clear waters, tons of different springs to go explore. I provide snorkel gear, the kayaks, and it's just so much fun, especially this time of year when it's as hot as it is outside, like today. It's a great place to get in, cool down.
And you look like the kind of guy with all the colleges around here where they're offered severe discounts for the sororities to come out and take tours.
Of course.
I knew that. Why did I know that?
And not only that, but the fraternities too.
Especially if they bring the sorority.
Exactly. But no, any big group, I offer a discount. So the more you bring me, the cheaper it typically gets for people.
And actually, you are a really good location with 100,000 college kids in here at any given time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I have a passion for this, so I love it.
And coming through to you is one way that people who are visiting can come and see our manatees that are here in Florida, right?
Of course. That's a big draw for us here in Tallahassee and just Florida in general. We do have the Wakulla River, which is very popular among manatee viewing, but they can be found in several, the St. Mark's, the Osceola. Those waters are typically a little darker.
Yeah, but the cutest are the ones that you can take people to, right? People need to come to see you to see the manatees.
And you know what's great? When you get up close and personal with them on a kayak, they get very curious. They will come right up to your boat. They'll put a flipper up.
Do the alligators get that curious too?
Typically not. You can
typically not.
Okay, he's back in.
Yeah. You can get close. You can get close to some of the smaller ones, but if you get too close or be too aggressive, they're going to take off.
I did notice some kayaks that had bite marks. Was that the ones that got too close?
We don't talk about those.
Oh, no.
Edit.
Very nice. And how can people find you and get in touch with you?
Yeah, check me out. My website's www.hsmithoutdoors.com. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media outlets at Harry Smith Outdoors. So just you type that in, I'll pop right up.
And next we headed to the theater at the Mickey Faust Academy for the Really Dramatic Arts. Brought back memories.
This is Terry Galloway. She's the founder and lead star.
Hi,
Mickey Faust.
I'm Jemmy.
Yeah, I'm Terry.
Nice
How
to
are
meet
you?
you.
Glenn.
Well, hi.
Good
How
to
are you
meet you.
doing? We do our regular cabarets, and then we do in the summer Queer as Faust, because we have we're LGBT and disability friendly, and there's a large component of LGBT and disabled people in the company. And the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation gave us a ramp that goes up this way. Because of we have a lot of people, about 40% of the people have some kind of disability, a lot of them with mobility. So they gave us money, a lot of money, to make our office accessible, to build this stage, but this is a wraparound ramp. And so this ramp goes all the way around. And we have a video that we shot for them. We had two people in chairs, and one had a video camera strapped to her chest. And she followed the other one as she went lickety-split from the office around here, down there, through there, up the other stage, down the other stage, out to the outdoor, up, down, and down that, and into the yard. It was a hoot, and it was scary as hell. It was like, whoa!
Oh, wow.
So, Terry, Faust has won 2 awards.
We've won a lot of awards, but the ones most recently, Equality Florida just gave us our Lifetime Achievement Award.
Wow.
Because we are 31 years old. We're one of the oldest gay, lesbian-friendly places in the South, and the Deep South, actually, in the world, if you can believe that. And we're one of the few disability-friendly ones in the world.
Now, are you an audition theater?
I'm sorry?
You take auditions, an audition theater for the shows?
Well, if you come to a show, you're in a show. And we also do it's original. Usually we don't do Shakespeare, we do original theater. And so our people come and we have writing workshops for them. And so people who've never written before, we have these workshops, they're free. And then they write. And then we show them how to make it into theater. And that's what Queer as Faust is, and what all of our cabarets are. So I'll show you the rest.
Okay.
One of the beauties about having Faust here is their all-inclusiveness to give people the opportunity for theater that normally would not be able to compete in normal, theater. So.
Yeah. We had one of the first trans people was in Faust. Her name is Toni Denise, and she, along with a woman named Kate Bornstein, who is a famous activist, wrote a book. But Toni Denise was my leading lady when I was playing a character called Jake Ratchet, Short Detective. She was huge. And my line was, I climbed on a chair and took her in my arms.
The acoustics in here are great.
They are. That's Mickey Faust.
Yeah.
So, he's the illegitimate twin of Mickey Mouse and Orlando. He's a beer-guzzling, foul-mouthed, very embittered rat.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny.
This is Janet Hinkle. She's our benefactress. She's a wealthy, she's a Florida philanthropist, and she gave us money for this accessible bathroom because there was none. And we're an all-volunteer company. No one is paid. Nobody makes money. And she sat on that toilet and posed for this picture. And we had her take the inaugural pee. We had champagne because, it looks kind of yellow. And we had a cake that looked like a piece of shit. But delicious. We ate, we drank. She took her pee. There were 100 and something of us listening in on that door.
Celebrating, right?
This is called the Hinkle Tinkle.
It's called her name is Janet Hinkle. Bye-bye, my little love.
So lovely meeting you.
Come join us.
Well, I wish I lived closer.
It's fun to talk to a theater person.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll see you.
Be well.
And as we were driving around the Railroad Square Art Park, Jemmy came across a place called Flippin' Great Pinball. And of course, pinball gaming, Jemmy had to stop by.
This is Glenn and Jemmy.
Nice to meet you, Glenn. Jemmy.
So I'm officially taking the rest of the day off. Nice to meet you. I'm Jemmy. Look at that. Jemmy and Jimmy.
So
you have some classics in here.
Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
That is a custom-made one.
I will say that that game is very fun, and I'm very bad at it, though.
It is so much fun.
They travel around, they collect these, they bring them back to life. A lot of people have them like broken down in their garage. They purchase them, they bring them back to life, and then sometimes they'll resell them.
When you pay your admission and everything's set to free play.
This looks amazing. When did you guys get started and established here?
Well, we've been in Railroad Square for quite a while, but we've been in this location since October of 2016.
Where did this vision come from?
For me, it was years ago. I'm definitely a Tallahassee native, and there was a place here in town that was called Putt Putt Golf years ago behind the Tallahassee Mall. And they had miniature golf there. I can't remember how many holes they had, but they had arcade games, and that's where I really got into arcade games. And then over time, there's been little shops that have popped up all over the place that had arcade games, and as soon as they would come up, within a month later, they would be gone. So it was very hit or miss whenever you got to play games. And whenever I came out here one night for First Friday, I bumped into my bosses, actually Rob and Adam, and this is their private collection.
Wow, stop it.
They started collecting them, and then it just grew and grew and grew.
Wow, this is unbelievable. I can't even, it's amazing. So he's been here how long now?
We've been in this location since October of 2016. I mean, I had a person come in, not last week, but the week before. They told me that they had busted open their penny jar or piggy bank and got all their quarters out. And when they found out, oh, you don't have to pay quarters.
You don't need quarters?
You can just pay admission. So
it's
I helped
retro, but kind of modern?
I ended up having to help them roll up $20 in quarters, which they paid for, and we just finally got those quarters used up.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. What's your favorite game here?
Personally, I love Totem.
Okay.
Now, as a fan of pinball, I like all of them in here, but Totem is my personal favorite.
Do you have a high score on any of these machines?
Actually, I have a couple of them. I have Totem right now,
there
like a personal high score on it, which when you see blinking, is 844,400.
Yeah, that's you?
That's a really high score for that. There's actually an app out there that I use that's called Indigo, that I put it up there, and I'm actually #1 on all the people that use that.
Stop it.
And then we have a high score board over here that everyone that can beat a high score on that board wins a free hour.
Where can people find this place? How can they get in touch with you?
If they want to get in touch with us, they can go through our Facebook page on Flippin' Great Pinball, or they can find us on the net at flippinggreat.com.
Fantastic.
And then on First Fridays, we have our $5 deal. Everyone, $5, I can play till midnight.
Oh, today's Friday, right? Oh, but it's not the first Friday.
It's only on First Friday. Well, what you do is you'll come in, we'll get the money from you, we'll put a band on you, and then let us know that you paid, and then you're free to come in and out as much as you want. There's always food out here to go to. There's other exhibits you can go to.
It seems like this whole area is just a really cool place to come, park in one spot, but then wander around and get into all kinds of fun little activities. We are at the Crumb Box, and this place is actually in a train caboose. Like, this is
There's
amazing.
The train caboose right there.
You'll see a picture of us swinging from the back of the thing, like little monkeys, but we had a great time. This place is awesome, and we are here with Pete, who is going to tell us all about this fantastic spot. So how long, you say you've been here, 4 years?
It's been almost 4 years, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I'm one of the few people in all of that time to ever notice that the bar is mimicking railroad tracks, so high five for me.
Yes, high five
Totally.
for you, for sure. Seriously, not very many people, so thank you.
Where did the caboose come from?
So the caboose itself ran on the Missouri Pacific, I believe, in the 40s. Wow. And was bought at auction around the mid-80s and has been here ever since.
And it's sitting on tracks.
It's sitting on tracks, yeah.
How did it get here, on a truck?
I don't crane. I'm assuming, yeah. Very carefully.
Which
lots
was
and lots
really
of people.
a long drive from Missouri.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I found like an online list, like, a very specific listing of each car, like actual cars that were in Missouri Pacific, and it's listed. And it actually says in comments, it says it's a restaurant in Tallahassee right now.
And that's your kitchen.
Yep.
And as you can tell, the box part of this seats thousands.
Well, there's
about
outside
14.
seating. There's
Legally
outside
speaking,
seating.
14.
There's outside seating that can sit
Right.
about 35 more.
My licensing will go up dramatically if I can see
cut all
more.
that stuff, all the history stuff. I want to eat food. So tell me what you got.
So one of the things I am known for is I do make my own sausage here in-house. Usually have a different couple of varieties, but I make it from here,
really
grind
good.
to grill.
What's this made out of?
This is a pork-based sausage, and this is my house original, so it's my proprietary seasoning blend that I will not say on air.
All right, Jemmy, you continue.
Physically
This is really good.
So good.
I love when sausage has a crispy outside.
Oh yeah,
And
natural
you
casings.
got that nailed down.
Not only that, but there's like extra flavors that hit you after a few extra seconds.
Oh yeah.
That are also
But it's not overly fhenolly. I hate when sausage is overly phenolly.
The only time I use fennel is when I make Italian, and that's not
Do
Italian.
you agree with me though? Most sausage has way too much fennel. It's just...
I think their fennel is overused. I like fennel though, so it doesn't
You had
bother
no
me
idea
too
you were
much.
walking into an interview about fennel, did you?
No, I did not actually. I did not. I did not prepare for the fennel questions today.
If I keep Jemmy talking long enough, she'll have no more sausage.
No, that's not okay. So I'm gonna stock up. Here we go. I'm stocking up. So how did this decide to become? You have a caboose at the ready. How did this become a restaurant?
Well, like I said, it's been parked here since the mid-'80s.
Yeah.
Over the years, it's been lots of things. It's been galleries, cafes. It's been a little bit of everything. The last 3-4 things have been cafes or restaurants. So in my quest to find a spot to follow my dream, if you will, I've actually been a fan of Railroad Square for 20 plus years before I opened. I happened to be driving by one day, and I noticed that the previous place was closed, and I called a couple of my friends, and I said, hey...
You heard angels singing, and you realized it was meant to be.
I did. I did.
You could hear angels singing at Railroad Square Art Park. I'm telling you, you will hear them.
You will hear them.
To learn more about the Crumb Box, visit them on Facebook. Just search for the Crumb Box. That's C-U-R-M Box.
And so people who are around town, if they're visiting Tallahassee, if they live here and are local, one thing I love about this place is they can come here literally for anything, like you were saying. But if they want to, scratch their artistic itch, they can come and see those performances. They can come and talk to the artists behind the works that they might admire. There was it Dixon who
Mark Dixon,
who has the art at the bus stations.
Yes, on Gaines.
So you can see those and actually come and meet the artist here. And so it's so personal and touchable. I love this place.
And Jemmy, it's also functional. So these artists are for real. You can see their artwork usually nationally. Some are internationally known. You can see it also around the square and around Tallahassee. And just to add, 99% of things going on here in Railroad Square are free of charge, and that includes parking. So our events, mostly, you have to pay every once in a while for a class, a couple of dollars, but just about everything out here that you can experience is free of charge.
And if you're looking to spend a little bit money on a loved one and get something special, you can find that special thing here because every storefront has their own unique stamp on whatever they're doing. It's really awesome.
And where do people find it?
We are all over social media. So we're at just Google Railroad Square Art Park. You can come to our Facebook page, which has a lot of information, including our history. It also on the homepage has our monthly calendar of events. We have a lot going on, so people can see that. We also have a Facebook page.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian.
Thank you all.
Okay,
Absolutely.
now let's go drink.
All right.
Here we go to proof.
Well, now we're taking a very short trip down the street, actually, still within Railroad Square Art Park. Can I just make a comment on this stop? The people that we met today were some of the most fun, nice, amazing people that we've seen at any of the stops we've been to.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm starting to get a little bit of a sense of the flavor and the spirit of this town here, because every stop we went, it almost seemed like every little shop in there, they had figured out a way to reuse stuff, like repurpose things and create art out of things that are already around. And the caboose for the Crumb Box is a perfect example. So it was a really, really cool place.
I really actually thought the Crumb Box guy and you were going out tonight after your...
No, much to his disappointment. Sorry, Pete, not happening tonight. But it was a lot of fun, and gosh, I can't wait to it's hot, so I can't wait to cool down with some cool beer. What about you?
Proof Brewing.
Woohoo! So we are here at Proof Brewing. We're so excited because as anyone who has listened to like literally anything I've ever recorded, I tend to bring up craft beer once or twice all the time. I swear I'm not an alcoholic, but we are here with Brian Smith who is also known as Smitty,
yes,
of Proof, and
perfect
we just
for
got
a beer guy.
I know.
Smitty.
So, and it sounds like a total frat name. So we got a great tour of this craft beer facility, which I think is super impressive. We got a nice inside look into how you guys have grown the business over time, and the craft that it really takes to make something like this. So tell us a little bit more about the history of the place and about Proof Brewing.
Yeah, so we essentially started back in 2007 as a liquor store, a high-end boutique liquor store where we sold some craft beer. And then that actually morphed into becoming a craft beer bar at that location. And at about 2012, we actually opened up a brew pub downstairs to where we first started making our beer. Since our inception of brewing beer, we have grown 100% growth every year, doubling our production. We've been trying our best to keep our head above the water.
Yeah.
And we had the wonderful opportunity to open up this location here in 2014 as our production facility, where we can do full production for distribution.
Right, and so we're at the railroad park, which is where you are, and you guys have had great success here. I mean, we got a tour of the railroad park, and when we first passed by Proof, it was a couple hours ago, and we're like, oh, we can't wait to get there, da, da, da. And then we finished the tour, and we come back around, and it's like the park lot's packed. You guys are super popular, and outgrowing your space. Congratulations. You guys are moving on to an old, and this is something we've kind of touched on as an unexpected theme of Tallahassee, is the repurposing of things. You guys are moving into an old, shut up. You guys are moving into an old Coca-Cola plant. So tell us about that opportunity and what's coming ahead for you guys.
So we've had the fortunate opportunity to where this new building and facility is actually less than a mile down the road from where we are now. So it's really not too much of a hindrance as far as getting there. And it's a much larger facility.
Wait a minute. You have to call 2 guys in a truck to move these things, these brew tanks?
How do you move all this stuff?
More than 2 guys in a truck.
Oh, it'll be definitely more than that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
huge.
There'll be crane operators to be able to move these things. So we had this wonderful space that has been abandoned since 1994 from Coca-Cola. And they used to use it. It was a whole city block. It's 34,000 square feet of floor space, allowing us to double and triple our size to be able to grow into that new facility. Because we put out about 6,000 barrels last year in 2017 and kind of hit our plateau for the past year. Because we can't squeeze any more drops.
Right,
out of
capacity
here.
issue, yeah. And you guys are now in Publixes and stuff, so that capacity drive is going to be even greater.
Yes.
You know, we want you guys to be super successful.
Wonderful a partner, and they love our beer.
Which ones will they find at Publix if they're in the Panhandle of Florida?
So you'll be able to find our 850, which is American Pale Ale, and
super yummy.
Thank you. Our Mango Wit, which is a Belgian wit beer brewed with a mango puree.
And what I'm excited about is perhaps with this bigger capacity, you can do you can can other varieties, because as much as I love both of those, and you know I did, I also really like the La La Land, which is what I'm walking around with right now. So I would love to see that in cans available. Shut up. I'd love to see that in cans available in my town. And that's another thing. You guys are in Publixes primarily in the Panhandle. Is that correct?
Yes, Tallahassee and the Panhandle for now.
Okay.
You can find us at Total Wines throughout the rest of the state.
Ooh, okay, they have that by me.
As well.
Maybe that's where I saw La La. Maybe that's where I tasted La La Land. Not La La Land. Oh, that's right, because it's not canned yet. Okay, right.
But at the new location, we'll be able to put out La La Land in cans. We'll put out our lager in cans.
Too bad they didn't leave the Coca-Cola massive canning machine.
It was an old one. So this building, building was originally it was built back in 1948. So it's 70 years old. Everything back there is extremely old, and so there's a lot of a lot of renovation to bring that building up to code. It will be a huge project and undertaking, but we're excited to take it on.
And at what point do you expect to move in? Is there a goal?
Yeah, we hope to be open 6 months from now.
Oh, wow.
So we're hoping to be open by January 2019.
So you're just not going to sleep and have a social life until then?
Not until then, no.
I'm curious. So we just got a great tour from you. Thank you so much. Are tours available to the public?
Yes, we do tours to the public on Saturdays at 1 o'clock and 2:30. Please wear your closed-toed shoes.
We wear safety goggles right now. We look super sexy in our safety goggles. Well, that's exciting. Because what I love about Tallahassee is everyone seems to be super creative here. And I think Glenn, his nickname is Glenn the Geek. And I'm also quite the science dork. And so the fact that craft brewing takes so much appreciation of science, and there's a process here. So for any science geeks who are listening to this show, Proof Brewing, a tour of your facility would be a really wonderful out-of-the-box treat for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not to mention this beer.
And it's such a bonus.
It's an extra bonus.
And you guys have events here and everything. So how can people find you, keep in touch, keep up with everything that's going on in Proof?
Yeah, we have all forms of social media, from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Come follow us on there, just at Proof Brewing Co. Or on Facebook, it's PBC Beer. And you can find us, use the hashtag, search for us. And we also have a website. It's www.proofbrewingco.com.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Whew, so we are starting our drive home. And I know that I have about twice as long to go as you do, Glenn.
Yes, you have about a 7-hour drive today, so this is a big state. What a lot of people don't realize is when you go top to bottom, it's a big state.
It is, but you know what? I'm glad at least I have you along for the first half of it. So
First half,
good.
then I'm dumping you. You're dumping me in Ocala and heading south. So this was a different adventure for us in a way because it was the first town that we went to that wasn't a touristy town.
You're right. People are attracted to this town for reasons other than being a tourist town.
Right.
It's the government, it's the the central business hub of Florida, but it's not like Orlando.
And we even had a couple people comment to us, well, what are you going to do in Tallahassee? You know? And I think we found a ton of things to do in Tallahassee.
We were overwhelmed. In fact, by the time we were done, we were like, there's like 2 or 3 other trips that we know we have to do. I mean, there's so much to do in this town. I loved every second I was here.
And the people were so kind and so friendly and so happy, so proud of their town.
No gimmicks, nothing like that.
It was just pride.
Yeah. Everyone was just really excited to show off their town.
It was, and they were, and I like Tallahassee, and I like the small town feel. For me, I don't like that better than cities.
No, you're right.
So the small town feel, it felt like a small town. Now, to be honest, though,
that a city has.
We were there when government is not in session, and the 100,000 students weren't there.
I think it was move-in weekend for the summer students, but that's a much smaller group. But yeah, it was such so there are a new thing that's kind of starting. A new trend is mural art on the sides of buildings and stuff. I know there's a lot of that going on.
We used to call it graffiti.
It used to be graffiti when it was just crap, but now I know they're doing beautiful stuff down in West Palm Beach by me, but to come to Tallahassee, it just feels like it's everywhere, and there's
and they were kind of proud of it, where it used to be, how soon can we paint it over?
No, it almost feels like, I wonder if there's a collective effort for it, because it just was everywhere. It was really, really interesting to look at. Really, really interesting. And we were gifted with so many different little ways of exploring this town. So it's actually kind of funny. We had a whole trip for Daytona planned around wheels, but on this trip we ended up on Segways. We ended up on a golf cart. We ended up on a pedicab.
The pedicab ride was fun and kind of impromptu.
It was so random. But thank you, Harry. What a great way to get around. So Harry was the guy who was the outdoor fishing and water guy that you guys met from Railroad Square Park. And we were walking out of there, and he ended up catching up with us after proof, right?
Yeah.
He ended up catching up with us and saying, hey, hop in. I'll take you back to your car. We're like, all right. It was just awesome. And we just saw a picture that he posted of it on Facebook. So we'll have to be sure to share it, because it was a great picture.
It was a great picture, actually.
It really, really was. So thank you, Harry.
Now, Harry was about ready to die by the time we got back to the car, because he's not a pedicab guy. He was doing it as a fundraiser.
Yeah.
And he normally leads the kayaking things where his upper body is really strong.
Yeah.
Harry, you need to ride your bike more.
But Harry's doing lots of good things. He's a good guy. So yay for Harry. Thank you for
I know, we
the
can't
ride.
wait to come back, because there's so many lakes and forests and rivers around Tallahassee that outdoor activities are huge. We could do a whole show on just the outdoor activities.
In fact, Harry, we might just be calling you.
That's right.
Take us
I'll wait till my shoulder heals a little more. That was the other thing that we did run into is on the zip line adventure, because there was so much of the climbing.
Yeah, you didn't expect the obstacle.
The obstacle course,
it, yeah.
and I'm only,
He's still
6-7 weeks from my shoulder, so I
Yeah.
did 4 of them and had to bail.
Yeah.
I did have to bail.
Well, so he ended up going down the evacuation ladder. So I'm watching him go down this evacuation ladder.
Which was scary enough.
And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to go down that thing. That looks horrifying. And I was actually relieved that I kept on the zip line obstacle course and didn't have to follow you down that ladder.
It was pretty tall. But I just couldn't. My shoulder was starting to act up, and I didn't want to have to go get surgery again. And you know what? To be honest, if I get hurt in another adventure, Jennifer's going to cut me off.
So no more
we won't be allowed to go ever again.
One thing we did accomplish on this adventure, though, is I got Glenn to drink beer.
Yes.
This does not happen.
I was a trooper and tried it, too. I'm just not a beer drinker. I'm more sweet drinks.
I know. But I've tried it. lots of convincing to tell him, look, a lot has changed in the world of beer with craft and everything else. And so we went to Proof Brewing, and Brian Schmitty over there had a flight prepared for us. We're like, all right, taste test is on. And you actually
I actually drank a few.
By the time we were taste testing the sixth one, he'd already pulled 4 to the side for himself. So I'm impressed I got any at all.
I really like that.
It was like a black currant.
A black
something.
currant one. I really like that. It was sweet.
It was like a deep.
It was
red
almost
color.
like It was almost like a dessert wine.
Yeah.
Actually, it had more of that flavor.
Yeah. As soon as I tasted it, I'm like, oh, you're gonna like this one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Now the ones that were beery, hopsy,
not your flavor.
No.
Well, they only currently can and distribute 2 of them. Most of them you have to get in Proof Brewery itself. But one of the ones that they can is the Mango Wit, which was delicious, absolutely super yummy. But my favorite for sure was La La Land. I loved that beer. It was so good. So well done to Brian and the whole crew over at Proof. You guys are doing some wonderful things, and they're expanding. Again, going to that whole repurposing theme in Tallahassee. There's that old Coca-Cola plant that hasn't been used since the 90s. So they're going to be moving into there and expanding. So they're doing really great things over at Proof. And I just love this. I love this whole experience here.
Don't be afraid if you have a weekend. You live in Florida, you have a weekend, or you're driving you're driving across Route 10, you're coming in from the west, maybe from Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi, and you're heading to Disney in Orlando or heading to the southern Florida to stay a night or 2 in Tallahassee.
Absolutely.
You'll find things to do. It really does have that small town feel, and I think you're going to love it. I think you're going to have a good time there. A lot of the students, like most college towns, I think, but a lot of the students that have come have stayed. They stayed in Tallahassee.
Stay. And a great way to see the whole town right away, those Segway tours. That was so much fun. And it actually ended up taking us right past our hotel. And the cool thing about that is she was able to explain all the buildings we've been looking at. It was the First Baptist Church of Tallahassee. It was right across the street, and it's huge. But what's really, really cool about it, it is the oldest building in the state of Florida that still serves its original purpose. I thought that was pretty neat. That we
From
were able to see
1840 or
something like that. Yeah, really, really old. And not only that, speaking of churches, what's the other special church we got to go see?
Yeah, I think this really affected you in a way I think even surprised you, and I think it's important we talk about it. So there was a black church it was actually a black church. They moved it to the location of the Tallahassee Museum in their historical section.
Emancipation time. And,
right.
Yeah.
And it was, they had a lot of pictures in there of it.
Tiny little building.
Yeah, and it was, we'll talk about what it meant to you, because you expressed it so well yesterday.
So we're on our way out of the Tallahassee Museum, and we had planned on doing the zip lines and seeing the wildlife and seeing the historic part of it. They do Florida history there as well, but there was only time for the first 2, and I said, is that where all this historic stuff is? And she's like, and she started rattling off some of what's over there, and she mentioned a historic black schoolhouse and also the black church. And I was like, oh, I have to see that. We're steps away. I have to go. So I've never been into a historically black schoolhouse. It was actually closed at the time.
And for new listeners, Jemmy's black. So we'll just,
that is true.
haven't figured that out.
That's an important detail because it's not quite evident. But yes, I am black. And the church was open. And walking in there, you just immediately feel the souls who were in there. And I couldn't even put into, I was left immediately speechless. I couldn't even formulate
It was just
thoughts.
us in there too. It was just us.
It was quiet, and there was the air felt different once you were inside of there, and all I could picture.
The church is very simple. There's pews.
I think there were 3 pews on one side, 2 on the other.
A very simple handmade altar.
Right.
And
a
a cross.
piano with wooden keys that were all old, and it was
and
just
and a cross on the, and that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. But to see, what came to mind were all the people who had been former slaves and had, families, and that whole era of ripping African families apart and all of that, and how the whole fabric of the community, it was tattered. And churches were a place for those communities to come back together, those families to find one another and come back together and feel whole and find a place of refuge and solace and be accepted and all of that. And so I immediately felt the weight of that when I was in there, and I could see how proudly dressed they were. I could see them in the men in their suits and in the nicest shoes they had. I knew they had polished them that morning. And I saw the women in their head to toe dresses, and it was probably one of maybe one or two dresses they even have for Sunday mornings, and their hats and their pretty fans and their lace gloves, and that had been passed down or whatever. And this the pride that they took in having those moments in that place, it just was super special for me. So.
And I would love for everybody to hear one of those moments.
Oh, darn it. You're going to play it, aren't you? Okay.
Mainline, tell them what you want. Oh, Jesus on the mainline, tell them what you want. Jesus on the mainline, tell him what you want. Oh, call him up and tell him what you want.
Yay! Well done.
I sang in a historically black church.
So, needless to say, this trip has ended up not only being a lot of fun, but very meaningful for me. So thank you to everybody who was involved. We have a really good job. And it also comes with really amazing surprises. So thank you so much to Rachel Jeter and the whole team at Visit Tallahassee. Everyone, please go to visittallahassee.com and check this place out. It is such a great town with so much to offer for anybody, regardless of what your interest could possibly be. So come there. And if you're there, you definitely want to stay at the DoubleTree. So thank you to the DoubleTree for putting us up. We really enjoyed our time.
And we will have another great adventure for you next month. So take a look for that coming up. You can find all of our shows and episodes at findingfloridapodcast.com or any of your podcast aggregators that you use. You'll find us there as well. You can also find us on the Horse Radio Network app for all the Horse Radio Network shows, because I kind of do those. So I thought I'd throw it on there. It is one of the simplest, easiest ways to listen to our show is just search for Horse Radio Network in your app store, and you'll find that there.
So we're about to end this trip, as most great road trips do, with a trip to Cracker Barrel. And speaking of planning our next adventure, that's exactly what we're going to go do right now. We're going to sit at the table, eat some brunch, and plan our next adventure for you guys at Cracker Barrel. So thank you to everybody out there. We love you guys.
And here's to your next adventure.